Welcome to another edition of Motivational Mondays. I'm Cory Mosley. This week I want to talk about the internet customer. I want to speak directly to my internet managers, my BDC managers, my people on the front lines with the internet customers. Also, my salespeople considering, my showroom salespeople considering taking the leap of faith and going into the internet department. I want to make one thing clear. You never want to be in a position where you're psychologically qualifying an internet customer because you'll psych yourself out. I want to share a story with you. A story of when I originally started in this business 10 years ago. I made that transition from salesperson on the floor to, hey kid, go in here and see how this internet thing works for our store. We're going to send you some leads and see what you can do with them. And when I made that transition, I knew of salespeople that I worked with, the old school salespeople that I worked with, that said, Cory, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go in that internet department. You're not going to make any money. You're going to have to give all the cars away. You're going to hate it. You should stay out here with us. Get these phone ups. Get these lot ups. Wait for that showroom traffic to come in. Wait for that newspaper ad and that radio spot to produce results. And obviously, if you know anything about the internet, the unique ability that you have is, done properly, you always have a group of customers waiting for you instead of being on the lot waiting for the customers. But I was young and impressionable, and I started to buy into a little bit. And of course, one day that customer walked in, he walked in with that big manila envelope that's like this thick, carrying it under his shoulder. That's the customer's gun, right? And if you say anything wrong or say anything they don't believe, they're gonna shoot you with that gun, shoot you with that information. So when came this customer, and of course I went over and greeted the customer, and he said to me, he said, I want to know if you have this car. And I'll never forget, not just because I tell this story 1,000 times a year, but because it was one of the weakest experiences I ever had as a salesperson. And ultimately, the last time I ever let somebody else influence how I attacked the customer or how I attacked the idea of a deal and the expectations that I had for a deal, especially with an internet customer. So this gentleman was on a Camaro SS 6-speed, and I went on over to the Reynolds green screen for my old school shop that I remember that, and I looked up the car in inventory and walked it down to the lot. And of course, it's not the Tahoe, the Trailblazer, the car I got a lot of that's up front. It's the Camaro SS 6-speed, black, that's 2 miles down the road. So we walked out on that summer day, shirt and tie on, sweat. And we go down to the car, and I go down, and I had gone through my training, the training everybody goes through, open up the car and start it up, put the air on, and tell the customer, come on, hop in, let's go for a ride. And he stands there, and he's looking at the window sticker, and he's looking at his paperwork, and he's looking at the window sticker, and he's looking at his paperwork. He says, no, I don't need to drive it. And you know what I'm thinking? Oh boy, here we go. So-and-so was right. So-and-so was right to tell me that I shouldn't be here. The phone's probably ringing right now with a hot up, with a real buyer. There's probably a lot of customers coming in on the lot right now. Somebody's probably getting ready to spot something while I'm down here with this guy. Here we go. Internet customers. Maybe they were right. But you know what? I try not to be phased. I'm still young, energetic. She said, you know what? Maybe we should take the car for a ride. I got my training. Maybe we should take the car for a ride. Maybe that would convince you that you don't want to buy it. Trying to be clever. As he stands there looking at his information, looking down his paperwork, looking at the window sticker, he says, nope, don't need to drive it. We go through this for 10 minutes. So finally I give up, I turn the car off, I close the door, and we're standing there. He turns to me, he says, when can I pick it up? I said, well, we're closed on Sundays because of blue law. I started in the business in Virginia, so we're closed on Sundays, but where do you work? I'll deliver the car to you. And at that time the gentleman worked for Capital One, and that was about 10 minutes away from our dealership, so very reasonable. Ultimately 10 years ago, how I started delivering cars to internet customers, home and office delivery. So now it's not done yet because he just asked me a question on the lot. Of course, that's a buying question. So we walk on back up, we sit down in front of the dealership. Dealership's empty, there's nobody there. We've got one of these customer-centric dealerships, guests in our home. So here we are sitting on the couch, guests in our home. I pull out the Foursquare, and I probably say was the weakest thing I've ever said in my professional career as a salesperson. I said, Mr. Customer, you're obviously an educated internet consumer. And remember, I said this because Everybody told me I can't make any money with an internet customer. Everybody told me I should not even be dealing with internet customers. Everybody told me, and this is 10 years ago, everybody told me that, these are bottom feeders, these are moochers. Just try to get to the deal as quickly as possible so they don't grind you to death. Any of that sound familiar to anybody? So, I said, Mr. Customer, you're obviously an educated internet consumer and you know what you're prepared to pay for this car. So if you would just tell me what that is, I will see if my manager will do it and we'll have a deal. Does it get any weaker than that? Probably not. Luckily, he wasn't listening to me. He pulled a DMSRP and he said, I'll pay that. Now, if you know anything about a Camaro SS 6-speed, especially going back 10 years, that was about a $5,000 deal. That was a home run car. I was right there with a Tahoe or a Corvette or a Suburban. So here I sit, this relatively green pea salesman with this internet customer that's paying me full list, 5G, 6G deal. Here I sit. So, we got this problem as salespeople. What do? We don't listen half the time. We just wait to talk. So what did I have on the tip of my tongue? Of course I had, oh no, Mr. Customer, I've never seen a price that low. Let me go speak to my manager and see what we can do for you. So I had to catch myself because it was right on the tip of my tongue. And then obviously I had to get up and try to contain myself as I walked across the showroom floor to my boss to tell him that I just got a full list deal. So we write him up, $5,000 deal, a little bit more than $5,000 deal, cash customer, bought a warranty. I delivered the car to his office as promised on Monday. Do I need to tell anybody out there what the CSI was? Of course it was 100, because that doesn't change. The people you make the most off of love you the most. That was the last time that I let somebody else decide or my own psychology fail me before I followed the process, before I took the steps to properly qualify an internet customer. And I encourage you, if you've got these preconceived notions, you're creating them. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I had a woman tell me in a training session one time that 99% of her customers, when she talks to them on the phone, first call, all they want to do is talk about price. And if you know anything about a self-fulfilling prophecy, or you believe any of that law of attraction stuff that's out there, which is indeed very powerful, it will tell you bring upon what you expect. So guess what? She's expecting it. So every time she picks up the phone, her pitch and her approach to the customer is one that leads her directly to that conversation. Clear your mind on this. Go into this assessing, reassessing. Take a look at some of the things that we talk about on the site, like personality selling, and how to do that, how to go about that, some of the virtual training. Take a look at it. Clear your mind. Don't go into it with preconceived notions, especially if those notions are negative. Even if you're selling cars right now, I guarantee you're leaving gross profit on the table. I'll see you next week. Good luck. Continued success.